It's never really about the dishes. Someone leaves a dish in the sink, and you feel a heat go up your neck that is way, way bigger than a dish. And later, when it's blown over, some quiet part of you knows that reaction didn't fit the crime. A dish is a dish. It doesn't have the power to do that to you. So what did? Not the dish. The story, the thing you told yourself in a half second about what the dish meant. And that story is the fuse. The event is just a spark. The story is what makes it catch. Today is about learning to see the fuse before it burns down. Here's the mechanic, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Between something happening and you reacting, there's a step that feels instant but isn't. The event lands, and before you feel anything, your mind slaps a meaning on it. The dish isn't a dish anymore. In that half second, it became, she doesn't respect me, or nobody in this house does their part, or I'm invisible here. That's what you're actually reacting to, not the ceramic in the sink, the verdict you hung on it. A former slave named Epictetus, who taught this 2,000 years ago, put it as plainly as it can be put. People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. It's not the event. It's the story about the event. So here's the one idea I want you to carry out of this video. You don't react to what happened. You react to what you decided it meant. And here's the good news buried in that. The event, you can't control, and the dish is already in the sink. But the story, the meaning, the verdict, that part is happening inside you, which means that's the part you can actually get your hands on. Let me show you how to catch it, because it moves fast. The first step is just to notice the size of the reaction. This is your best early tell. When your response is way bigger than the event. When a dish, a tone, a 5-minute lateness sets off something that feels like a 10, that mismatch is a flashing sign that says, a story just fired. Nobody flushes with heat over a dish. They flush over what the dish meant to them. So when the reaction is oversized, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what did I just tell myself this means? The second step is to say the story out loud in your own head, when the whole ugly sentence, not I'm annoyed. Finish it. I'm telling myself that she left this here because she doesn't respect me, and I'm alone in keeping this house together. Drag the story into the light, because these stories only have power while they're running in the background, unquestioned, disguised as simple facts. The second you actually hear the sentence, part of you goes, okay, that's a pretty big leap from one dish. The third step is to check it like you'd check anything else. Is it true? Is a dish in the sink actually proof that you don't matter? Or is it just a dish from a tired person with 100 possible reasons that have nothing to do with your worth? Most of these fuse stories are old ones. They were wired in long before this kitchen, this person, this dish. They're often less about what's in front of you and more about an old wound the moment happened to press. When you can see that, the fuse goes cold because you realize you were about to detonate over a spark that only looked like a bomb because of the story attached to it. Let me be honest with you about the hard part. Some of these stories have a grain of truth in them. Sometimes people really are being careless, and the feeling underneath is pointing at something real that's worth a calm conversation later. Catching the story isn't about telling yourself you're crazy or that nothing's ever wrong. It's about not letting a half-second worst-case interpretation light a fuse you'll regret. You can take the real issue to a calm conversation tonight. You just don't have to blow up the kitchen now over the story's version of it. And this is a skill which means at first you'll only catch the story in the rearview mirror. You'll blow up and an hour later realize, oh, it was never about the dish. It was that old feeling of doing everything alone. That late catch is not a failure. That's you learning your own fuses. Do it enough and you start catching them earlier until one day you feel the heat rise. Hear the story start and think, not this time. If it helps to have this with you in the moment, that's exactly what I built the app Israz for. It walks you through catching the trigger, naming the story, and choosing your response before the fuse burns down. It's mine, so take that for what it's worth, but it's the tool I wanted to exist. It's at israz.app. And the same honest line before I go. This is a communication skill, not therapy, and I'm not a stand-in for one. If these moments are frequent or heavy, a real professional or an accredited VSO is a strong move, not a weak one. And if anything at home is crossed from hard into unsafe for anyone in the house that's beyond what a video or app can hold, please reach out for real support. The Veterans Crisis Line is there anytime. Dial 988, then press 1. Next video, the feeling hiding underneath the anger itself. Because anger is almost never the real thing. It's the bodyguard standing in front of it. Subscribe so it's waiting for you.